Slowly, I began to move around New York and found a small bar called CBGB. It seemed to be a scene. And there was one character in the corner. His name was Richard Hell. And I noticed his T-shirt was very cleverly designed. Being a haberdasher from the King's Road, I was very enticed by this T-shirt. Holes very carefully arranged in it. And him playing this song, which was his song, called Blank Generation. I began to adore the idea of new rock and roll through them.
CBGB's, you know, there weren't bands playing there when we started. Part of my strategy was to do as the Dolls had done, find a place where you appear regularly so that people can get in the habit of knowing you're there. The guy, Hilly, who owned the place, agreed. So we started playing there every Sunday. And it was a wino Hells Angels bar.
It's just a dump bar, and it's in the Bowery, a Skid Row section of New York. Always dumpy and dirty, but at the time there was no place to play your own material.
We liked the place right off the bat. It had a nice, quaint kind of atmosphere, you know, and the acoustics were great.
There started being this kind of uptown crowd mixed with a lot of dancers from Times Square, topless dancers and prostitutes and junkies, mixed with these slumming chic people who thought we were cute and real.
In the beginning, they didn't expect to make any records. They didn't expect to make any money. And the whole point was to have a good time, because you didn't have a job you could like. You weren't going to make any money anyway, so you might as well sing. If Blondie was playing, Richard Hell and David Johansen was sitting there watching. If Richard Hell was playing, then Blondie and Patti Smith and the Talking Heads guys would all be around. I mean, it was all playing for each other. And so there's a lot of pressure to do something better and not repeat yourself.
It was the place where you could go and knew you'd see somebody you'd like to talk to, you know. It was the only place in the world where you mattered at all. You could go there and you know, like matter.
By the time I walked into CBGB's, which was in 1975, I had been in the music business in one way or another for 20 years. What was great about it for me was that it signaled a rebirth.
It was about reclaiming rock and roll. It was reclaiming rock and roll to a simple message, and wasn't a big bloated corporate limousine, cocaine-ridden bunch of shit.
What a lot of people were doing at CBGB's was bubblegum and garage rock.
I saw elements of the Beach Boys there. I mean, people thought I was crazy then, and I think people still think I'm crazy. But the songs, they were all very catchy.
I mean, to me, they were pop music. They were what was played on the radio in the 60s. To me, that's what I heard. I thought they were the most commercial band in the world. I was kind of shocked when everybody said no.
And halfway through the third song, I turned on the mic and I said, "What is this crap? What is this noise?" I took the needle off the record, took the record off the turntable, and flung the record across the room. And I said, "We don't need this junk. This is just noise." And I went and played a Billy Joel record.
got hate calls when I signed the Ramones. You know, they said, you know, you've got some nice bands. Why do you want to fuck up your label and sign the Ramones?
That first Ramones album was a fantastic record. It was conceptually very interesting. The fact that all the songs were very short, very simple drumming, melody being carried by the bass, the guitar being simply this pulsing distortion that actually became the English punk style.
See, the Ramones' first album was almost the only piece of vinyl that we had that we could say was punk. A lot of people I know learned to play along to that record, like Sid Vicious learned to play along to that record, and Paul Simonon learned to play really along to that record.
Most of the English bands really adapted the Ramones' distinct sound as their foundations. And then they injected their own selves to create their own, you know, thing.
When it got over to England, punk became a way to dress, look, and sound. The New York punk scene was very diverse.
The name of this song is Psycho Killer.
Going down to CBGB's, that night when I found Talking Heads, I was down there to see the Ramones, who I had just signed. It was a beautiful night in November. It was almost like spring. And I was standing out there with Lenny Kaye, the guitar player in the Patti Smith group. And all of a sudden, I hear music coming out.
I can't seem to face up to the facts. I'm tense and nervous and I can't relax.
I felt myself just moving more and more till I was inside the door, and I was riveted.
Psycho killer, just to say.
I wanted to sign them right then and there. But that night began an 11-month courtship.
When I started working with them, they weren't sophisticated in using studios. So I think I opened them up to the conceptual notion that making music involved everything from the first note you play to the moment this thing comes out as a piece of plastic. Talking Heads are an intelligent band and ready for trying something new. I don't know if that would have been true of all punk bands by any means, or new wave bands or whatever they were.
If you're content to stay in a small club and not do anything else, then you're also not content to grow. Part of the trick is getting yourself out there and challenge yourself. Can you make a record and remain true to your ideals and still sell those, 20 billion records? The scene at CBGB stayed so out of the mainstream for so long that all the bands were able to fully explore their personalities, including us.
Thank you.
It was a great time because it was just so spontaneous and pure. And of course, everything, after a time, it evolves into something else. But there's always these little pockets of time where everything just sparkles and everything is done because people believe in things.